Okay, today we're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on with the reform movements and culture of the early 19th century. So a lot of this going back to the early 1800s, mainly focused in the 1820s, 30s, and 40s, leading up to about 1848, which will kind of kick off a new segment of information later on. A lot of this revivalism and reform starts with religion. We see the movement known as the Second Great Awakening. There's also going to be a lot more diversity and opportunities for new religious denominations. One of those will be the Unitarian faith coming out, which only believes in one person rather than the traditional Trinity idea, which will get some backlash as a result of that. We also see movements towards, understanding of deism and things like that. And then we have this huge movement in the 1800s known as the Second Great Awakening, which will cause a lot of other reform movements known for prison reform, church reform, the temperance movement, which can be no consumption of alcohol, a women's rights movement, and then abolition of slavery. All these are kind of offshoots of these camp meetings that occur in a lot of the frontier areas of New York and in the countryside of the Appalachian Mountains, and some of the people like Peter Cartwright and Finney who become some of these prominent leaders during this period. So as you can see with these depictions here, there is a significant increase in the growth of denominations during this period, and you really see it really occurring around this 1820 period. You also should notice in this left-hand visual that there's a lot of people showing up, and this looks kind of like this wilderness camp meeting that's going on. There's a lot of emotion involved down here in the bottom right, as well as emphasized here, but you also should notice that there's a lot of women involved, and women become very active in this movement known as the Second Great Awakening, which leads to all these other reform movements coming out of this period. And as this is a democratic movement, a lot of denominations come out that are pretty diverse. You've got the Millerites that come around, which becomes an offshoot later on. You have the Adventists coming out of that. And you're going to see other religions being spawned during this period, such as the Mormons with Joseph Smith and later Brigham Young, all kind of moving westward and taking on a different approach to religion during this period. And that's going to pretty much summarize our movement towards understanding the Second Great Awakening, how it caused this democratic movement held by a lot of women, and how it created a lot of other reform movements as a result of its spread across the country, and this new wave of democratic ideas of your future, your free will, and so forth.